They told me I was overreacting when I said my husband was using our daughter as a weapon, but the moment the daycare director handed me the sign-out logs, I realized he'd been lying to everyone. I'm Farah, I'm 32, and I'm a mechanical drafter in Kansas City. My work is precision. Measure twice, cut once, trust the blueprint. I used to think my marriage had a blueprint too. Shared goals, shared values, shared responsibility. What I didn't understand was that some people don't build. They borrow stability until they find something shinier. My husband Griffin worked in sales. He could sell anything, including himself. He was charming enough that strangers leaned closer when he spoke, and for years, I mistook that charm for character. We'd been married 6 years, and we had one child, our 4-year-old daughter Lena, who still pronounced the word spaghetti like it was magic. The betrayal didn't hit us with screaming fights. It arrived with excuses. Griffin started missing bedtime, claiming client dinners. He stopped contributing to the household without admitting it. He'd forget diaper runs and pretend he was too busy. I carried it because I loved my daughter more than I hated the imbalance. I thought if I held everything steady, he'd come back to us. Then I found the second phone. It was tucked in a gym bag he never used. When I turned it on, the messages were already there. Photos, plans, weekend trips. A woman's name saved as C. I felt my body go cold like I'd stepped into winter water. The emotional devastation wasn't just about the cheating. It was about realizing I'd been living in a story where I was the only one trying. When I confronted Griffin, he didn't beg. He didn't cry. He told me it was complicated and that I wouldn't understand because I was always stressed. He said he was unhappy. He said he'd been planning to leave anyway. Then he threatened me in the softest voice he could manage. He said if I made this ugly, he'd make sure I never saw Lena again. A week later he moved out and filed for divorce. In the filings, he claimed I was emotionally unstable, controlling, and too focused on work. He asked for primary custody. He told our friends I was keeping Lena from him. He cried in public. People believed him. The rising tension turned my life into survival mode. I was working, parenting, lawyering, and losing sleep all at once. Griffin started showing up at daycare unpredictably, taking Lena early without warning. He would send me messages saying I didn't have to know everything because he was her father. Then he'd tell his attorney that I was neglectful because I didn't know where Lena was half the time. I felt like I was being erased while still doing all the work. I tried to stay calm because every emotion felt like ammunition he could use. The turning point came from the daycare director, a woman named Miss Ochoa, who had watched Lena grow from a toddler into a chatterbox. She pulled me aside one afternoon and asked if everything was okay at home. Her tone wasn't judgmental, it was concerned. I told her the truth, quietly, in pieces. The next day she handed me printouts, sign-out logs, camera timestamp screenshots, a record of who picked Lena up and when. It showed Griffin had been lying in 2 directions at once. Some days, he wasn't picking her up at all. He was sending his affair partner. Other days, he'd signed Lena out and then dropped her back off an hour later so he could claim he had her. He was using my daughter as a prop in a custody performance. I didn't confront him. I took the evidence straight to my attorney. In court, Griffin walked in with the same confident smile, the same polished story. He accused me of alienation. He said I was controlling. Then my attorney submitted the daycare documentation. The judge requested the director's testimony. Miss Ochoa spoke with quiet certainty, describing exactly what she'd seen. Griffin's face changed, not to guilt, to panic. The resolution was swift. The judge ordered a temporary custody arrangement favoring me, with supervised exchanges. Griffin was instructed not to involve third parties in pickups without written consent. His credibility was damaged in a way he couldn't charm his way out of. His request for primary custody evaporated. I walked out of court shaking, not from fear, but from relief so intense it felt like grief. Now, months later, Lena still sleeps curled against me sometimes, her small hand clenched like she's holding on to certainty. I'm rebuilding my life slowly, with boundaries instead of hope. The final punchline is this. Griffin thought he could sell a lie to everyone forever. But you can't outtalk a timestamp, and you definitely can't outsmart a mother who finally stops being afraid.